Thank you very much, Chairs Hunt and Olson. I'm Michael Dembrow, State Representative for House District 45, that's Northeast Portland to Park Rose, and on behalf of my colleagues, I want to extend our deep appreciation for allowing us the time to really explore this very important issue. I'm going to ask you to put aside for now everything that you've heard about this bill before today and think about it in a different way, which I believe is the right way. What Senate Bill 742 does, plain and simple, is expand opportunity to more young Oregonians, something that we've been working on again and again this session. We've heard again and again just how important it is for our young people to have post-secondary skills if Oregon is to come out of this recession and move our state's economy, move our state's income above the national average. A number of important bills have been developed that would expand access to college and shorten the path to receiving a bachelor's degree. Legislators on both sides of the aisle, on both sides of the building, are working to expand opportunity to all young Oregonians who have the skills and the proven ability and are willing and able to work hard. And that's what Senate Bill 742 is all about. Because there's a group of young Oregonians who have been priced out of higher education in this state. Even though they've grown up in Oregon, attended school here, graduated from high school, been accepted by an Oregon public university, they are unable to attend. As a result of their parents' documentation status, they are not considered to be Oregon residents for purposes of tuition, and so must pay between 3 and 4 times the in-state tuition that their peers do, and this they cannot do. Please remember that these are young people in whom we have already invested a great deal of time and resources during their years in K-12. And please remember that these kids have done their part to match our investment in them. They've overcome a number of barriers to become the first in their families to become eligible for college. That dream of qualifying for college, getting a college degree, and a good productive job kept them going through high school. They could have been headed for the streets, for a life of being a burden on society. Instead, they took that path that we want all young Oregonians to take. And then they hit this roadblock that holds them back and that prevents the state from capitalizing on the investment that we have already made in these young people. Federal law allows this tuition roadblock to be lifted if states pass tuition equity legislation. And over the last 10 years, 11 states have chosen to do so. Texas, New Mexico, California, Washington, Illinois, New York, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Utah, Kansas, and just last month, Maryland. In fact, Maryland's bill was signed just yesterday by its governor. It is time for Oregon to join them, and that's what Senate Bill 742 does. The bill states that students will be considered residents for tuition purposes if they meet the following criteria. Been in country for 5 years at least, attended an Oregon high school for at least 3 years, graduated from an Oregon high school, been accepted for admission by an Oregon university, and filed an affidavit with the university that they have filed for legal residency or will as soon as they are eligible to do so. Colleagues, I know that you're being inundated by emails, some of them containing extreme speculations about what will happen in Oregon if this bill passes. Well, if we look at the experience of those other states, we'll be able to see just how tuition equity is playing out. We will see that it has given a number of young people hope and a better path without having any kind of adverse impact on the state. These states have not been flooded by increased numbers of illegal workers relative to other states. They have not seen any drain on their state coffers. We will, in fact, see that these states have experienced increased tuition revenue as a result of tuition equity, and many of these young people in these states are now citizens or on a real path to citizenship. Colleagues, I know that you've heard that tuition equity is not legal. that it violates federal legislation passed in 1996. What you will not hear from opponents is that no legal challenge to any of these state statutes has ever been successful. The most recent challenge in California was denied by that state's Supreme Court, which ruled unanimously in November that the tuition equity statute is consistent with federal law, and ours is patterned after theirs. To quote from that ruling, quote, "If Congress had intended to prohibit states entirely from making unlawful aliens eligible for in-state tuition, it could easily have done so. It could simply have provided, for example, that an alien who is not lawfully present in the United States shall not be eligible for a post-secondary education benefit. But it did not do so," end quote. As long as state legislatures take the affirmative step of passing tuition equity and making it apply to all who meet the criteria of the statute, tuition equity will be upheld. We are so confident that Senate Bill 742 will meet legal scrutiny that we have included a provision for direct review of the bill by our own Oregon Supreme Court. There are other objections that you may hear about this bill, all of which are tied to fears that tuition equity will lead to an increase in illegal immigration. You will hear that tuition equity discriminates against potential students from other states. It does not. This nation's public college and university system is built on the idea that if you attend the public college or university in your state, you pay in-state tuition. If you want to go to another state, if you choose not to go to the university in your state, want to go to another state, then you must pay the non-resident fee. Or you can always move to that other state, establish residency there, and attend a university there at the in-state rate. That's not true for the young people that Senate Bill 742 is trying to help. They have nowhere else to go. You may also hear that giving in-state tuition to these young people will drain scarce state resources and shut out higher-paying students from other states. That is simply not true. As you will hear from representatives of OUS, admitting an SB 742 student will not shut out a potential non-resident student who meets entrance requirements. We have no enrollment caps in our universities, and according to OUS, the system has room for both in-state Senate Bill 742 students and out-of-state students who qualify. So the Senate Bill 742 students are not a cost to the system. They will not require additional expenditures by the universities. No additional sections will need to be opened or teachers hired for them. In fact, if you look at the fiscal analysis of Senate Bill 742, you will see that Ledge Fiscal believes that Senate Bill 742 will actually bring additional money to the universities. Without Senate Bill 742, these students would simply not be attending a university. With Senate Bill 742, they will be adding their in-state tuition dollars to the university budgets. The Oregon university system has analyzed the impact of tuition equity on the states that have it. They've looked at those other states, and they have concluded that tuition equity will help our state resources, not hurt them. And that's one of the reasons that Oregon's university presidents support tuition equity, and I think you have a letter from them. That's why, as you will hear, the State Board of Higher Education has unanimously endorsed tuition equity. Colleagues, you'll also hear from opponents that it makes no sense to confer degrees on students who will never be able to work legally in this state. Again, if we look at the other states that have had tuition equity for many years, we see that many of their young graduates are now working legally. The investment that has been made in them has been fully realized. You will hear from one of them today, Mariana Zamboni, a young woman from California who is exactly the student that Senate Bill 742 is intended to help and to take advantage of. And colleagues, I promise that you will be inspired. Colleagues, as I'm sure you know, the subject of immigration law is complex and in flux. It's not enough to consult a lawyer or even an ordinary immigration lawyer. We must look to people who have been working in this particular area of the law. Today, you will hear from Philip Smith, one of this state's and this nation's foremost experts in this area of the law, that the great majority of the students eligible for tuition equity will, in fact, be able to take advantage of it. Colleagues, everyone in this room knows that we as a nation will eventually come up with some form of immigration reform, which will create a path to citizenship for those most able to contribute to our society, to our country. When that happens, those 11 other states will have an educated workforce ready and willing to take full advantage of the law. Here in Oregon, on the other hand, if we do not institute tuition equity soon, we will have created a kind of lost generation without the high-level skills needed to succeed and to help Oregon to move forward. Many of them will in fact be a drain on our resources rather than an asset. Is that really the route we want to take? No, it's not. Because of its value to Oregon and the health of our economy, tuition equity has been endorsed by all of the state's major newspapers, by most of the regional newspapers, and by the state's principal business advocacy organizations, AOI, OBA, and the Portland Business Alliance. You'll hear from representatives of Oregon's businesses today, from a representative from AOI, along with a representative of Oregon's vital small business community. And finally, colleagues, I want to address the argument that tuition equity rewards lawbreakers. These kids are not lawbreakers. They are pursuers of the American dream. They are examples of exactly what we want our young people to do. Work hard, get good grades, dream big. I know them. I've taught them myself for the last 30 years. You heard from my colleague, Rep. Jensen, his experience with them. You'll be meeting some of them today, some of them and their teachers. They are exactly the kinds of kids we should be investing in. Many have lived here virtually their entire lives. They have no other country to go to. They have plenty to offer this state. But unfortunately, they have become the collateral damage of the immigration debate. That's wrong, and it's not the American way. In this country, we don't punish children for the actions of their parents. We try to show them a better way and open up that better way for them. These kids are not asking for any kind of handout. They're not going to receive any state or federal scholarships or financial aid. No extra benefits of any kind. All they're asking for is access. Access to opportunity, access to success, a chance to repay the people of this state for the investment we have made in them. Colleagues, that's what Senate Bill 742, the tuition equity bill, is all about. I urge you to listen, question, examine the written testimony that you'll be receiving, and then recommend that Senate Bill 742 receive a work session and be moved to the floor of our House of Representatives for a vote. Thank you. And